Welcome to the channel, it's Wicked. We got a viewer requested video for you. I've been asked to break down the masteries a little bit more. Actually go in depth in each one of them and how they work. So we'll go over the magic resistance. This increases the magic resistance for all units by 12%. That's good in some situations against caster troops like Gog or Giant to a point, except Giant does some health damage, so that kind of counters this. Green Dragon, that's really good against Green Dragon. The next one, Expert Tactics. All defensive units, defense increases by 15%. This one's good with the high defensive units. They have high defense. A lot of defense units have high health pool, or they are a defensive unit for a lot of dodge, like Demon. This is for the high defense units. The next one is First Aid. The healing effects of heroes and all units increases. So this one is really good for sustain builds or builds that, like, if you used Yogg, where they heal from spells. This would end up increasing the healing you'd get when you're using Yogg, or if you have a Genie on your team, the healing from Genie would be increased. So this one's really good if you're trying to go for a sustain build or a hard-hitting build that uses just some passive healing to maintain while they do some damage. Especially with Crag Hack, he's really good with this. Next one, Wisdom. Spell level of all heroes increases by 3 for the expert one. This one is good for a lot of the caster heroes. Some of the buffer heroes is good, decreasing cooldown, like on Yogg. If you end up leveling up a skill, it decreases cooldown by 0.5 seconds every time. That's how you can maintain casting more spells, but then you also have a issue with maintaining your mana. Then we're going to go into Armor. This one increases the defense of all heroes. So this one is a global skill. And the situations to be really good would be on heroes that you don't use very often. So they'll be increasing the stats of all your heroes. Same with offensive, this increases the attack. Same with intelligence, this increases the power, and knowledge increases for all heroes. If you want to look at my stats, I do have 463.8 attack, 424 defense, 388 intelligence, and 405 knowledge. Attack increases your unit's damage, defense reduces the damage taken from units, intelligence increases spell damage, and knowledge decreases spell damage taken. Go back into masteries real quick. What do we got? Archer. This increases the critical hit rate of all ranged units. This one's really good with Yogg because Cyclops' range, or Gelu because he focuses on ranged units. This just makes him crit more often, which does more damage, so that's very good. All the classes of units do have a buff to them. Some of them are better than others. Archery, I would say this is one of the lower buffs, but it does increase the crit, and so some heroes like Orc heal off their crits, so that's really good for them. Defensive one, increased defense of your defensive troops. We have Pathfinding. This is one of the more strange ones. This one increases your movement speed. In most situations this wouldn't be good, but there is a hero that can turn that into damage when you get him to 3-star. That was Mullick. Mullick's specialty. At 3-star, the movement speed of charging units offers additional increase to their attack. So with that, their attack would increase, which is very good. This is the buff for charging units. We have Fire Magic, reduces the cooldown of Fire Magic spells by 15% for the expert one. We have a Water Magic one, decreases cooldown of Water Magic. It's only for the single hero, it's not a global skill. So you kind of only want to use one of these on a hero if you're going to use it with Yogg. If you use the water, it decreases his ultimate cooldown by another 15%. So this is how you can get Yogg to cast his ult a lot more often. And actually maintain it enough to fight soul mirrors and stuff. We have an earth magic one. We have mysticism, which increases your spell recovery speed by 2. So every time you... So this game runs by ticks. And when you get a tick, you generate some mana. This increases the mana you generate per tick. We have sorcery, damage done by all caster units increased. This one's a very good one. That's a pretty high. Increase the damage 21%. Then we have scouting, attack speed of all offensive units increases. This is another really good one, especially for offensive units, where with most of my builds, I do focus on offensive units because I have Fire Elemental, and he does a ton of damage. So this will increase the attack speed by another 21%, which would be very good for him. He'd be doing more damage. Any more? That would be it for all the masteries. So we have the defensive one. Increases the defense of defensive units. The ranged one increases the critical hit. The charging one increases movement speed. Caster increase attack speed. And attack increase attack speed. No. The caster one's damage. The attack is attack speed. Or offensive is attack speed. My bad. And how masteries work. So at a higher VIP, you'll be able to lock 3 of them, which will increase every time you lock it. It will increase the diamond price and the gold price. We're gonna end up rolling a couple. I want these to change. I don't like magic resistance, and I don't like defensive defense. This is only green one, not very good. We have defense increased by 10%, that's pretty good. And spell level increased by 1%. So I'm going to accept that, and I'm going to keep rolling though. Not a good pull. This is the global one, increased knowledge. I'm not going to use that. In Pathfinder, increased charge speed, I'm not going to use that. So when you lock one, we'll start from the beginning. So if you don't lock any, it's going to cost you 10 gems and 10 gold to refresh. Lock one, 20 gems and 15 gold, or 15,000 gold. 2 locks, 40 gems and 20,000 gold. And 3 locks, 80 gems and 30,000 gold. The benefit of running or of using the refresh scrolls, you don't have to pay this extra price for locking. So there you have it. That's Hero Masteries. You can play around with them and look what each hero needs. Like with Moloch, he focuses on charging units. You 100% would need that charge bonus. Ophelia, she gives her a shield and increased HP for defensive units. You could increase the defensive units, but I wouldn't do that. I would go for Earth cooldown to get her ult, because this is her bread and butter. You want to go with that, and she has 3 Earth spells. All 3 are pretty good. This Earth Shield's not the best. Stone Skin is good with some builds, but her best skill is definitely the Holy Shield. Roland, this one you'd have to decide if you want to go caster or buffer. Looking at his specialties, he looks like a buffer. So I would want to get this water cooldown, and probably defensive unit health, just because he seems like he's a pretty sustained build with his last skill. Increase critical friendly units by 200 and critical damage of castle faction units by initial 20%. For every enemy unit killed, castle faction units recover 10% HP. So you want to make the most of this 10% HP by having your units live longer. And he also does increase magic resistance with this one, so you don't have to worry about that. Lord Heart, charge bonus for the knights, and earth cooldown, because you definitely want to increase this. Air arrow is kind of not a great skill for him, but the other 3 are really good. And with this, you might want to increase defensive health too, because these Death Knights are not very tanky, and you definitely want them to live longer. You have Vidomina. This is one of my want to increase spell level, because her summons are based on spell level. I have Vitamina at level 7. I do have a +2 to her spell level, so they're level 9. So if you get even more spell level, that increases their stats, which would be very good for her. And she also buffs the undead. So you have skeletons get buffed, the summon skeletons buffed, liches, and bone dragons. Liches summon skeletons, so it seems like they're focusing on defensive units. So it wouldn't be a bad idea to increase the defense, but it wouldn't be mandatory. You also might want to increase the caster damage, because liches already do a lot of damage, and if they do more damage, they'll end up killing more things, so they'll be able to summon more. Gelu, definitely range crit, maybe spell or caster damage. Fire cooldown, and then you could go air cooldown. He does have 2 air spells. Precision's a good one, but it already has a pretty low cooldown, so I wouldn't go there. I would go the fire cooldown. And the last one with him, you might want to increase your defensive tanks, just so they live longer, so Gelu is able to get more spells off, or increase magic resistance. Crag hack, definitely healing for this skill because it increases life drain, so you want to heal even more from that, so you can make this insane melee build with Crag hack. And if you increase the attack speed of offensive units too, they're going to heal even more. So this is where you start synergizing with him. He can become pretty insane. Shiva, definitely air cooldown of air spells. She has 3 air, and this is Storm does a lot of damage. It scales up very well. 5,000 damage every level. That's pretty insane. And spell level would increase that even more. Air cooldown would be even better. Regen would probably be good for her. And since she focuses around rock and these air elementals to count as a caster, I would end up increasing caster damage too. Luna, fire, definitely. The spell level, I would definitely go with her too because she's a caster. You kind of want to take advantage of that. She does deal stuns at 4-star with these two, and they're both fire. And mana regen, because she can have mana problems. She's a cast. You want to have her cast as fast as she can. Veneer, this one's a little interesting because he ends up having 1 spell of every type. So you don't really want to focus too hard on one. You could do Earth for his ult, or you could do Fire for Fireball, or Air for Lightning Bolt. Fireball, I know it does a ton of damage. Lightning Bolt, also really good spell, but his ult. If you do have Psychic Elemental, you might want that. Or tanks, you might want to. Spell level, I would probably go with that. Every time you level up Mystic Domain, you do increase the damage and the duration of silence. And the rest of his spells seem like a caster. So you could go mana regen, or you could buff the attack speed of offensive units to buff these psychic elementals even more. Rashka, he's most spells seem like caster or buffer. He's a split between the two. He is fire, so definitely fire cooldown. And I would go mana with him. I would definitely go caster because the Afrides turn the fire lords and they do a ton of damage with Rashka. Soulmere, mana regen, air cooldown. He has all air spells. The spell level, and then the last one kind of you gotta play with. Increase the defense with tanks, makes them more tanky. You could increase the damage of whatever unit you're focusing on with him. Doesn't have a true perfect 4. Depends on what troops you're using. And Yogg again. Catherine, a lot of buff spells. Might not be worth increasing level or spells, but I would definitely increase the cooldown of her water, because 2 of her spells are water. She has 1 fire. This one's pretty good, increased attack. This one gives more attack speed. These 2 together are pretty awesome. And then you have Blizzard. It does deal quite a bit of damage and slows people. So it slows their attack speed. You get increased attack speed, and you get increased attack. I wouldn't go mana regeneral there. I would go defensive units. Increase the defense then, because she does increase the number of Iron Crusaders from 9 to 16, and they get a bunch of buffs, which is pretty insane. Ryland, he's definitely a healer hero, so you definitely want to increase his healing. He does have 3 earth spells, but his ult is water. So I wouldn't focus on these 3 spells, I would focus on his ult with water cooldown, because you want to get him healing as fast as you can and as much as you can. Summons these Dendrite guards, so they end up with, they would be a tank. Defense for tanks might be pretty good. They already have a huge health pool, and they do get an upgrade too, so that's pretty good for him. Adelaide, all water spells. Caster, typical caster stuff, regen, cooldown, spell level. Then we're back to MMHEC. Well, there you have it. That is a full breakdown of the masteries for you guys. Hope you guys like it. If you guys have any questions, please comment, and I'll try to answer them for you guys.